Hey guys, this is Adam with See You Later Leaner, and we're here today with our newest coach, Jasen Ono. And man, we just hit the ground running at Sin
It was
City.
awesome. It was an awesome turnout.
It was a very awesome turnout, and your wife Elisa won the figure overall, and you coach her as well.
Correct. Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about, because I kind of want this to be more an introduction of you. Tell us a little bit about what got you into bodybuilding, how long you've been doing it, your treasure chest of knowledge. And, it's really cool to bring you onto the team because I feel like Jason's somebody that I don't necessarily have to manicure. He has a lot of knowledge and he's someone who I can probably learn some things from. And that feels really cool as a coach.
So I got into it because I had realized my junior year in high school, I took a human phys class. I got teased and bullied since the fourth grade. I couldn't play football since the third grade because I was too heavy. So I had all that going on early on in my life. And my junior year in high school, I took that class. And what I realized when the guest speakers were talking about health and longevity, I realized my grandfather on my dad's side had passed away when I was like 2 or 3 years old. I didn't know him. The only memories I have of him is he was too sick in his chair to play with my sister and I. So I promised myself at 16 years old that I would never let myself get to that point as I got older. I want to be active in life. One of the guest speakers was a natural pro bodybuilder. I asked him for some advice, which was cool, right? But again, I was 220 pounds. He competed at 140 pounds, 130 pounds. I didn't know any better. I followed his diet. So, of course, I lost 50 pounds, felt great for basketball. I had no muscle to me. I was super weak. I couldn't even bench 85 pounds to start off.
Wow.
So that was my starting point. I went from a really hefty kid to just a little stick figure bobblehead. And it wasn't until fast forward a couple years, I moved up to Las Vegas to go to UNLV. I went through all the trade shows I could because, of course, Olympia was here. Then the UFC Fit Expo started up. I wanted to get into the supplement industry to work in it. And I had met a friend, a longtime friend now. He was working at one of the booths at the UFC Fit Expo for a supplement company called ALR way back in the day. And he became our first bodybuilding coach. He was a natural pro himself. He was coach under Lane Norton. So kind of how he coached me is kind of how Lane coached him.
Very cool.
So he helped me for the first two shows. Troy Johnson, he's with Gaspari now. His wife is Chrissy Chin. Chrissy, funny story about Chrissy is she competed at the Arnold as a figure pro while she was pregnant.
Wow.
So I don't know if people remember that, but that was a long story. But that's kind of how I got into bodybuilding. I did my first show in 2010. So from the time I lifted weights to my first show, it took me 10 years. I competed in the natural circuit for several years before doing my first NPC show in 2016.
Nice.
So from first show to now, it's been 16 years competing.
That's amazing. And that's, how old are you now?
42.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, that's a long life of coaching history and mentorship. And you ran around in the natural circuits like I kind of did. I helped one of our other coaches, Rich, host the Buckeye Classic, which was a INBF, WNBF show back in the day. What federation did you compete in naturally?
I started with the INBA.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know they're based out of California.
Yeah. And they do their Olympia out here.
Yep.
So, and then do you really feel like, I feel like this way where, spending the time to build your physique naturally as long as possible until you just kind of hit that point where the progression so slow has made you like really who you are today.
I agree with that because I feel like I wanted to stay natural for as long as I could to see what I could do on my own because I didn't want to rely on the super supplements, right? And I've always asked my closest friends, should I try it? Should I try it? Said it's going to be your choice. So it took me a long time to kind of get to that point because I wanted to try to max out my full potential naturally. And I didn't want to rely on taking things to have an effect. I wanted to understand how the nutrition worked, how the training worked, how the cardio had to fit in there. You know, I didn't want to have a crutch to use. So it kind of definitely helped me mentally and physically to become a stronger competitor and coach, where I'm not going to rely on other things. It's going to be, you got to put in the hard work. You got to stick to the nutrition. You got to do your cardio. You know, that's the end all be all.
Yeah, I totally agree. You know, it's kind of the same with muscle growth as it is fat loss, you know, learning how to diet clients down before you ever implement like Clen or T3, you know, and that's definitely really important. And, you know, we've seen so many coaches who just rely on that stuff right out the gates and don't know how to get anyone lean without it or get anyone big without, you know, the super subs as well.
And it's funny, even like post competition now with my wife and with my other client, Nancy, they're saying that they're not craving those things, that they're excited to see their body start changing. And it's through food.
It is.
Food is the most anabolic thing you can put in your body.
Absolutely. That discipline is so key on having like a good reverse and a good rebound. And I know Nancy came from a really big weight loss. We should post her transformation up above because absolutely incredible transformation. So she probably wants to be pretty careful on body fat regain after this show. And as does Elisa, because she's doing the Masters Nationals. So not a lot of room to go up there. Right. So that's cool. At what point in your journey, and you're a really humble guy, so this might be a funny answer, when did you feel like you were good at bodybuilding?
I still don't feel like I'm good.
I thought you might say that.
Like, it's one of those funny things. It's like, I do remember when I was I ran nutrition stores for several years in 3 different states. I remember when I was running the store in California, I would give nutrition advice, supplement advice to people coming in. And at that time, like work took kind of the primary focus. So I was working 50 to 80 hours a week for 2 years. So I went from training 5 days a week to training 2 times a month, maybe if that.
Okay.
So you could obviously see how my body might have changed. I might not have looked the part, but I still had the knowledge. When I got back into bodybuilding after that long stint of working a lot, I still feel like I was still on the totem pole. But then when I started to win overalls and back-to-back overalls kind of thing, I think people started to recognize that. I still didn't see it myself. Not until I took second at USA's in 2024 for the first, that was my second national show. I was like, okay, that's a big deal. Like to take second place in bodybuilding at the USA's. Okay, maybe I'm onto something. Because at that point, that show was the show I was going to do where if I don't place top 5, I'm going to retire.
Really?
That was already in my mind.
What year was that?
2024.
Okay. So not long, but like I met you not long after that. Yeah, that's crazy.
And even after I turned pro last year, I still don't feel, I mean, obviously being realistic, I still need another 20 to 30 pounds of stage weight to compete as a pro at that level. So it's one of those things like you turn pro, but then, okay, there's another level to this.
Yeah.
Then it's okay. Are you willing to go to that, take that big step, you know, to do the training, to do the food, to do the supplements? And I think for me, realistically, I probably have a couple more years of competitively bodybuilding. Then I'll have to downsize to be healthy. You know, like I tell a lot of people, and I'm okay with that.
You look great now. What's your current stats as far as body weight and like height?
Body weight's probably about 233 waking up.
Okay.
You know, eating twice a day, training once a week, if that kind of thing.
Yeah. But you have an interesting training modality. Now, you have some injuries too, and it's not always going to be that way for your clients. But I was so interested about how you were training. But you do a pretty high volume on that day training style. Tell us a little bit about that.
So it's kind of a blend of the high intensity, like a Mike Menser, Dorian Yates with the high volume. The very first textbook I got was by Ellington Darden. He talked about Arthur Jones's experiment with Casey Viator, Mike Menser, the one all-out set to failure. So I do like to incorporate that and also high volume in one workout. So like, for instance, let's say for legs, I'll do maybe like 2 heavy sets of leg curls to get the hamstrings warmed up and then I'll go into my quads. So this is where the high volume thing kicks in to start the workout. I have 2 torn meniscuses from playing baseball, basketball and bowling growing up. I had arthroscopic on my left knee. My right knee blew up in college when I was playing basketball, just a pickup game. So they're both torn. Hadn't had them repaired. And so to get my legs to grow, I actually did a lot of single leg extensions, super light, 20, 30 pounds, 7 to 8 sets. Same with the leg press, 1 plate leg press, 7 to 8 sets, 30 to 50 reps. And this is when I hurt my back and I had lost all feeling my right quad. That was when my right quad had shrunk 1.5 inches in circumference. So when I did more rehab, I did those single leg exercises on my right leg. And to this day, my right leg is more etched. It's thicker and more detailed than my left side. So that was a aha moment for me that I know that high volume stuff works. It just has to be taken past that. When you get that burn sensation, it has to get past that.
You have to dig deep as hell.
Mm-hmm.
8 to 10 reps is just a mechanical slowdown.
Mm-hmm.
40 to 50 is absolutely a choice for probably rep 25 and on
You're right.
pushing, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, just hearing that lets me know how hard you can go.
Mm-hmm. And so kind of what I like to do after I do the high volume things for the hamstrings, legs, quads, then I'll go into my heavy compound stuff. My heavy compound might be a squatter leg press, and that might be your 7 to 14 reps, 20 reps sometimes. And then I'll do my maybe 1 or 2 heavy compounds, then I'll go back to a little bit more volume in the same workout.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a blend of everything combined.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like with injuries too, that's really a perfect setup. And we see it so many times. Clients say, I can't squat. But you got to leave the ego at the door. You probably can squat. You just can't let it be your first exercise.
Yeah.
And if you can't, you can probably do some kind of squat pattern. You're just going to have less variety. And, you know, I have a continued torn meniscus also on my right. And it's always leg extensions first for me, very light. Sometimes I do, if I can get on the isolateral, I'll hold at the top and then I'll alternate. It feels great. And for me to say that, because I went through a lot of workouts that didn't feel great, I mean, it's painful. I got to push. But yeah, you just got to choose violence every time you go in there, you know? That's awesome. That's so cool. And how long have you been coaching for? I mean, I feel like you've been helping people basically your entire life.
I think my first client I ever had was probably around 2012.
That's awesome.
And back then, I just coached natural athletes.
Okay.
You know, kind of along the same lines. I wanted to work with them because I didn't know, at that point in time, I wasn't taking the anabolics. I had no idea what that was.
Right.
So I worked with about 3 or 4 athletes and kind of got them competing with the different federations. A couple did the NPC naturally and did fairly well. So that was cool to see.
That's cool. In your progression, did you compete really well in like the INBA, do well, and then you decided to graduate to the NPC?
I took a couple of second places, third places. My very first show I took second out of 4th, which was like awesome. I was like, but that was another aha moment where I saw my abs for the first time in my life. At that point in time, when I had a proper coach, when I was able to diet down and see my abs for the first time in my life, I do have abs. When I did it on my own prior, I was skinny fat. I was just lean, great cardio for basketball. I had no abs.
Yeah.
So that was back in high school, and I thought, I guess I don't have abs, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just doing it the proper way.
They're kind of made in the kitchen versus in the gym. You probably trained abs like crazy to try to see them.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think we all did that. My first diet I ever went on, I ended up also getting one of those ab rockers that you see at every Goodwill nowadays. So I did have some amazing workouts on that thing, but it definitely didn't give me the cuts. And it definitely, if anything, it made me more self-conscious because the women in those videos could do a crunch and not have one fold in their stomach. And I still don't know how in the world they did that. But I hope those outfits come back, by the way, but that's another topic for another day. But dude, we're so blessed and thankful to have you aboard.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Absolutely. Jasen coaches locally in Las Vegas, but he also does online contest prep. So I wanted to introduce you guys to him, and I'm so excited to have him aboard, and we will see you later, leaner.